Good afternoon. Good afternoon and welcome to hear what Agrinoze is doing and how we can help the world. Today we are suffering from a food crisis where it caused by drought, caused by wars, it caused by short of water, short of fertilizers, and this is something that it's became a global problem, and so far we don't see a solution. The number of population in the world is growing. The area for cultivation is shrinking. Logistically, there are problems of making food all over the world. And it turns that now government in many countries looking to grow locally. And food security, it means the security of the nation, not of the food. Because without food, there is no security. And the challenges is how to grow locally using the existing infrastructure, which in many cases is not suitable for modern agriculture. It lacks of knowledge and technology. So the challenges is how to educate and bring this knowledge to every place that people can grow food locally. The type of food is growth in many places, focus in type of crops. The lack of food and the ability to move it from place to place required to grow it locally. And in many cases, it required to overcome climate and other conditions which are limited the ability to grow crops every place. The other factor is lack of water. But actually it's not lack of water, it's lack of water management, because there is no single drop of water left the planet. But people are using the water mainly for agriculture or drinking or for energy. And there is no management that looks at the water as a holistic solution, including the usage of wastewater. So this is the condition today, and I will share with you how Agrinoze is addressing these challenges. Today, the only method to calculate irrigation is based on evapotranspiration. Means farmers and agronomists are measuring the amount of water evaporate from the soil and from the leaves and bring it back. And this is purely hydraulic solution that farmers are irrigating the amount of water based on hydraulic calculation using different type of technologies, from pivots, sprinklers, drip irrigation, canals. At the end of the day, the calculation is to return the loss. And we found out in Agrinoze that this calculation works because people are still growing. But when we have less water and less fertilizers, it's a bit challenging using this method. The plant and the crops are survivors, like in nature. So even if we don't give the right amount, they still survive. But when we look at modern agriculture, we are looking how to use the plant and the resources more efficiently. So we in Agrinoze found out that the way to irrigate and cultivate is a bit different, and I will share with you. So we focus on increasing the yield. Increase the yield means higher density, shorter cycle, improving the genetic of feed crops. By doing the precision irrigation, we are saving water. Also, we reduce the use of fertilizer, and later on I will explain how. We are also consider ourselves as a real regenerative agriculture because we increase the level of the oxygen in the soil. Increasing the level of the oxygen is increasing the level of the microbiome, which keeps the CO2 in the soil. Also, the way we irrigate, we reduce the toxic greenhouse emission, which is one of the causes of the rice field, where the swamp is releasing the methane to the air. So we build a system which based on sensors around the root base, connecting to a controller on the field, and using an algorithm, we are irrigating and fertigate the plant based on the plant requirement. You can think like a baby in incubator, where he is in the incubator, and using sensors, we know how to feed him the right amount of nutrients in real time. So by implementing such solution, we manage to grow almost anything, anywhere, using much less water and much less fertilizers. What we actually do, we are creating a layer on the top 60 centimeter, which this layer is enriched with oxygen. And people usually think that the most important element is nitrogen or nitrate. So the most important is oxygen, because without oxygen we don't have any activity in the plants. And as you can see that we are using a drip line which is surface or subsurface, but we create slow emission of water, which means that we create small drops, because the plant needs the oxygen, but the only place it can get the oxygen is from the surface of the drop, not from the air and not from the water molecule. And by enriching the oxygen in the top layer, we enable the plant, first of all, to get the oxygen. Second, we increase the level of the micro. And third, we create conditions to the roots to use the elements and the nutrients exist in the soil. Because if you look at nature, non-cultivated area, you will see that once we have rain, everything is green. Means that the nutrients are available in the soil. The only reason is that in a cultivated area, when we put too much fertilizers, we make it salty, and it means it's not available to the crop. So if we are provide and create the right conditions at the soil, the available of the nutrition is easier for the crop. And that's the reason that we can eliminate and save a lot of nutrition. What you can see here from now is samples, because we are coming with a solution which is a bit challenging the existing environment in the agriculture of irrigating less and giving less fertilizers. And in order to convince people around the world, we are doing pilots, and we convince every place that it works for all kinds of crops. What you can see here is cotton in Indonesia, where my partner is sitting here in the front line, very proud to work with them. And as you can see, the distance between the drip line is about 90 centimeters, and we go in between. And you can see that the size of the plant is even and uniformity. And you will see that there is no compost or manure or any material on top before planting. And this is something that enables us to grow almost anything anywhere, because Indonesia is a country that imports 98% of the cotton, because it's considered that it does not have enough water for continuous growth of cotton. But we prove that it's possible. Another place is in California. California is now under drought, and this is one of the biggest places of growing grapes and almonds and other crops. And we just completed a project over there where you can see grapes, where we use 0 fertilizer and almost half of the water. And this is commercial. And what you can see that we put group of sensor in the soil, and the plant itself are triggering the system. We don't have models, we don't have predictions, we don't measure the weather. Just measure what the plant needs in real time. What you can see here, how we increase the yield. This is cassava. Same cassava tubular usually is wider. Here you can see that it's vertical because we grow it 4 times higher density. And the same for melon, and the same for corn. And this is rice. Rice, we use 20% of the water, and later on you will see we don't flood. If we don't flood, we don't have emission of methane. If we do high density, we don't have weeds. And the way we irrigate is that we prepare the soil before planting. So we don't need to do germination and replanting and moving from place to place. So we are shorten the cycle. So in a place like Thailand, in Indonesia, we can have 3 cycles a year because it's every 100 days from planting to harvest. And banana, we have banana plantation in Israel where now we're entering the 4th year. 0 fertilizers, half of the water, and more banana per dunam. The same dates, we are growing dates in the Jordan Valley, and the temperature over there raises sometime to 50 degrees centigrade. Still, we give less water. And you can see that it goes for flowers, for any type of crops where we manage to grow with much less fertilizers. It means that we save, first of all, we save money, and second, we are not polluting the underground water. Because in many places, using too much fertilizers means that we are polluting the underground water, means we are challenging the communities that we are living on. This project is in Thailand, where we took 1 hectare, about almost now 4-5 years ago, and we plant in one place all kinds of crops that usually was only for rice. So you can see that we started in May, and after 1 year we have banana, coffee, cacao, rice, vegetables, everything in one place, only with 3 people that manage it. Because we train the people and the system is irrigate and fertigate by itself. This is in Indonesia, 5 hectares of 28 crops, including indoor and outdoor and plantation. If you look at the dates, you see that we started just before the pandemic. Everything was installed remote control, and the local team was trained remotely, and this is very successful until today. This is again California. You can see that we grow almonds and grapes with no fertilizers. Now we go commercial because the local community doesn't believe that we can grow with no fertilizers. And people are challenged that maybe the fertilizers is from the previous year. So if it's from previous year, why we are not giving again? This is melons. Again, starting in May this year, complete in August. What you can see, only water, no fertilizers, and still growing a good melons that are sometimes bigger than the regular melons that they grow over there. Corn. Corn we grow also in a high density compared to the regular one. We prepare the land before, so we save sometimes 2 weeks because the soil is ready for the seed. Then because of the high density, we know that there is no issue of light. People always argue about the light. There is no issue of light if you know how to irrigate. So after 100 days, we can harvest. Means we can do more cycle per year in a tropical country. Cassava, the same. We grow cassava 4 times higher density. With the same system, we manage to grow much more. And it means that we can continue to grow all around here. We're not dependent on weather. Indoor, what you can see on the same system, the same place, we can grow different varieties. It means that we are able to modify what we grow based on the need. And you can see that the ability to do so also good for marketing. Because, for instance, in Indonesia, we found out that the local team managed to grow potatoes and porang and all kinds of things which usually is not growing in the dormant season, and everything successful. We managed to grow stevia, which become now popular on the sea level. So it means that using our technology with the right team enable to improve and open the envelope of the marketing, because today the world is starving. So every country like Indonesia, like Thailand, like Philippines can export the food for the outside world. This is banana. If you look, you will see that on the right side, this is the control where it was adding the protocol amount of fertilizers. In the control in the center, Agrinoze, zero fertilizer, still more nutrition compared to the control. Same solution for blueberries, where we increase the amount of blueberries per plant by using this system. Flowers. Any questions so far? This is lemons. This is in Indonesia. After the first year, we start to have commercial results. This is cotton, you can see. 3 weeks, 7.5, 16 weeks. This is a record. It means that we can do 3 cycles in a country like Indonesia. And instead of import, we can grow locally and maybe even export. Because the cotton in the world become quite high demand because lack of water. And cotton considered as a crop which demands a lot of water. Rice, what you can see, this is traditional way. With flood, the distance is 40 by 40. It requires germination, replanting, and a lot of methane emission. We are growing rice in higher density, no flood. It means no flood, no weeds, higher density. Every 110 days, we can make a cycle. Here you can see a full cycle from starting until the end. And what you can see that the quality is even higher because we don't have too much water and much less workforce because we don't need to replant it. This is growing olive tree on the sand in the desert in Peru. Means that sand for us is also a good media because we know how to grow on sand better than in heavy soil. Here you can see the banana. More banana per square meter, less fertilizers, almost zero. And it also means that the plants are more healthy because we know that in certain areas like in the Philippines, using drip irrigation with higher amount of water, creating flood. Flood means creating bacteria or eliminate the bacteria, making more disease like the fusarium, another disease which caused by too much water. Dates. Thank you very much. Any questions? What I would like, yes. What I would like to say is that we have here our guest from Indonesia that based on the experience, we are starting now a new way of a big project to educate and share the knowledge with the local farmers and to make this project also a social impact because all the projects that we are working together with the local community, if it's universities, farmers, and in this way we improve the social impact. Questions?
Do we have any questions from the ground? We have one right there.
You mentioned corn. How large can you go in terms of hectares?
There is no limit.
And wheat?
Also, we try with the scale is issue of the infrastructure. We started 5 hectares and now we are going bigger. In California, we started 30 acres. Now we are going bigger. We start always with 1 hectare. Why? First of all, we need to train the local team to understand the way we work. It took time also in Indonesia because we are working a bit different than traditional farming. We don't use compost, manure, and all kind of gypsum to prepare the soil before. We don't do plow, because we know that plow consider that the soil need to breathe. There is no such thing. The soil doesn't need to breathe. The most important is to keep the moisture in the soil continuously. This way we keep the microbiome the same level. The microbiome is the part that takes the CO2. So the issue of the scale is only issue of contracting and the way to manage it. Always we start with 1 hectare. First of all, it's easy to start, it's a low cost, and then together we create a team that know how to work. So for us, the most important is success. And so far, any project that we approach in the world was successful. And always working with local people. Thank you very much for listening. And if any questions, we are welcome.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give him a big round of applause. Thank you.